Oh, wow, yeah, we have to hop right into this because this is wild. One and all, welcome back to Day Before Action. We have got game number 4. That's right, B was able to strike back in that third and get us deep into the set for Mongolian Heights. Well, I've been ruminating, wondering what the previous video is going to be. This one is already delivering some action here as B with the Delhi has gone fishing. An old school build has arrived, and a buffed one actually, guys. If you guys remember when Age of Empires 4 first came out, Delhi looked OP on water because of their fishing boats having an attack. That quickly became cheesy and kind of pointless as people realized if you're attacking your fishing boats, you're not actually fishing. However, they recently got buffed and nerfed. It's kind of weird. So they lost 1 base damage, but they can no longer miss their arrow shots. And it was just used to great effect by B to prevent Anatan from safely walling off his fishing. Oh, what a cool play. B, it means that Anatan is not going to have the most comfortable times here on the Chinese in game number 4. He's even keeping the fishing boat here. Kind of interesting to do so, actually. Like, wait, is B going to do the... Wait. Is he doing the old school strat? What year is this? One and all, welcome to the launch of Age of Empires 4. The year is 2021. Okay, so it was decided a long time ago this is not worth it because it's so inefficient, right? Apparently B doesn't care, and check the body blocks. Dude, he can't get the boat in. Oh, that was so close. I think if B had an extra fishing boat, this would definitely work. And here's the dock follow. So this is what I was expecting to happen, right? So typically, the reason why this Delhi play fell off in the early days of Age of Empires is because you run all your fishing boats across map. What wasn't in that play was this detail. Putting a dock over here means that you're no longer idling your fishing to idle your opponents. You're idling their fishing and fishing. Oh, this is sick. Dome of Faith also on the way. And Anatan... What's going on here? I felt like he had enough food, but something went wrong. He still hasn't begun his tech up as the Chinese. What a blast from the past. I did not open game 4 expecting this. I mean, Delhi on Mongolian Heights is kind of intriguing. I thought he'd probably play kind of hunkered and go for like a fast tech play. Bit difficult on a 2 Sacred Site map, though. And Anatan, the reason why he hasn't aged up, by the way, is because he's gone north to wall himself in. So he's settled on a tiny slab of the map instead. Fishing boats over here are at least going to idle things out, so B won't be able to quickly get the kill. But he's burning it down gradually with a scout, right? So over time, this can work out. It does mean Anatan at least temporarily gets opportunities to be annoying back. So he could, for example, put an archer ship here. Even a Spriggle ship, maybe, to try and snipe that villager on the shoreline. For now, though, B is the one that gets to make the moves first, as he's the one who teched up ahead of time. Stables is already being dropped. So Ghazi, really cool unit in these type of formats because all the attention is going to be waterside. If you can just afford 1 or 2 Ghazi before the waterside fight begins, you can sneak in and start to deny things like this very far away gold. What a cool game. Let's hit the speed up a little bit here. We'll see what the reaction is going to be. Anatan obviously doesn't want to build a boat too quickly here. There's too many concerns on the map right now. He's focused on trying to get economy. Difficult to do, though. He keeps doing this. So, funny thing, guys. There is a attack speed, right? But if you are micro-intensive about this, what you can do is you can attack and then fish, and then attack and then fish. And depending on where you're fishing as well, you're not going to really lose any efficiency on the gathering at all because there won't be much turn rate. So it's a really cool way of min-maxing your damage output without giving up food. First Ghazi are going to run into the spearmen. So Anatan not going to die that easily. He was fully aware of what was coming. He prepped the appropriate defense. Other side of this B, does he play a long age now? I wonder, could you just try to rush up? Does feel quite desirable here, but if you get into a Castle Age race, you're against one of the more difficult civs to do against. China's really pretty influential when it comes to these timings, right? They have the very fast build-up. They still have the supervision. Imperial Academy is one of the greatest economical landmarks you will find in the game. It's that good. Especially because it comes in at such an early point in the game. So I think instead B says, okay, we're going to be stuck here a little bit longer. Starts to produce in the archers. Sanctity is also being prepped, so that'll give him additional gold trickle. In the meantime, Spearmen are going to reveal the archers early here. So Anatan could pivot. I think that pivot is going to be age-based, though. He's starting to stockpile. Ooh. Wait, no. Is Anatan going for a land transition here? It looks like he might be prepping to go for TCs. Which is a little bit surprising in this format. It's not that it's undoable, but against Delhi, usually the catch with doing this against Delhi is you need to slow the game down enough, and I'm not sure if he's done that yet. However, this could be big. Demo ship's coming out. A big scramble, a big mess. The Ghazi do arrive as well, so they're going to finish off all the boats. Anatan, it looked like for a second he got the perfect reset there, the sinker. But in the end, the Ghazi swarm turn it around. Demo connection is good, though. That's an incredible exchange there. Ghazi are really pricey, 140 resources each, whereas the demo ship barely costs more than one Ghazi. He killed 3. So Anatan, he at least gets a good return fire trade there. B blitzing the boats, though, did put him ahead in the beginning. So as it stands, they are kind of even on those exchanges. However, Anatan is now economically ahead. 46 to 38. On top of that, he also has Castle Age on the horizon. Oh, apologies, folks. I was turning 90 degrees around from my broken leg position to try and stick it under the desk for a little bit here. And that's when all the crap hit the fan there. But what a crazy fight. Archers are now moving up. Astronomical Clock Tower is going to be in the way. So Anatan knows he can get away with this because the Barbican is in a perfect position here to block archers running through. Like, B is going to see this. It's not even worth trying to go through. Has to immediately back off. So at this point, B has 2 choices. He either goes all in feudal immediately, or he switches now into attack out. There's no point playing this kind of probing feudal, because when you see a Barbican, there's 2 options here. Either Anatan has gone for Astronomical Clock Tower, or he's gone for 2 TC. Right? Because if he had an army, he wouldn't need this static defense in that position to defend it, right? Because you have to remember, he did actually sacrifice 600 resources to build that. And although over time you will build more villages because of it, in the meantime, when you look at this building in the early game, high-level players will see this as less military units. There we go, confirmation in for B. Tech up complete, so he's going to have to mirror the move, right? There's no substantial damage that can be done. He can at least idle the gold out a little bit, which is really good. As Anatan did just reach the age up, he's going to want to spend a lot of gold here, right? Lances, veterancies, blacksmith upgrades, eco upgrades. It all adds up. Finds himself a village pick. And although this gold starvation is going to slow things down, remember with China, more so than almost any civ, it doesn't stop them from teching. Due to the Imperial Academy and the ridiculousness of taxes. And yes, you are correct. The military count for Delhi is weird. Capture age doesn't get updated because, I don't know, I guess capture age just too busy sipping mojitos in the sun after the work on other Age of tiles. Scholars are military units, which is kind of fair, but fishing boats also catalog as military units, so it's kind of weird. The weird part, actually, the more weird part, and you might notice it if we get to like max pop, is if you put like the numbers together, it just doesn't make sense, right? Because B has 51 economy, so it tracks correctly with fishing boats and villages, but then they're also military units, right? So these units, like when you get maxed out, you could see a Delhi player having 220 pop if you look at eco and military. It really needs to be fixed. It's such a confusing detail for people watching. Ghazi are at least keeping the Lancers in check. So this is buying time. Anatan is now transitioning to Zhuge Nu. A little bit surprised by this. He's got to be assuming B is going H3, so going Zhuge isn't exactly what I would have expected here. I mean, he's got to understand that Delhi are very quick at transitioning after this point in the game, right? To follow you into that third age. And if they're going to go into anything, it's going to be Lancers, Men-at-Arms, rather, these type of units that you can utilize the House of Learning off of. There's a possibility that your opponent could go for crossbows, but I don't know. I'm not really convinced by the Juke here, guys. This feels really weird to me from Anno. Lancer crossbow just makes so much more sense. Wait, is the sum good? Oh, you might be right. They might fix that. Sorry. It's because fishing boats used to count as military as well. Yeah, you are correct. The sum is correct. I think was it Season 7? It definitely counted fishing boats in military as well. It's still a confusing thing, though, because it shows here. Where it'll also get confusing later if we get to the hyper late game is the gunpowder elephants, I think, still show up as free for everyone, but the other elephants don't. How's he marching forward here? Interesting that B wants to posture so aggressively so early. Maybe he eyeballed his Juke and went, I don't know why you're building that. So he wants to punish it now. He's going to start marching in. Juke. Damage is decent, right? But it's only going to be temporary. The reality check here is with Delhi being an age 3 and with this many scholars, you can quickly ramp up into the +2 undermesh after you pick your relics. So there's a very small window where Anatan has that maximum damage value. It's coming in now. I believe he is supervising it. So, yeah, no supervision. Balanced projectiles number 2 on the way in 30 seconds. And yeah, this is exactly why I was like perplexed by Juke. Tower Elephants counter you here hard. Remember, you're just going to do 1-1-1 on a unit that has quite a lot of HP. I think they adjusted the numbers recently, but it's 680? 600, sorry. Yeah, so they've done something funny where they changed the War Beast tech to be, I think it's additive instead of multiplicative with biology, which led to slightly less health. I think instead of being like, for example, a standard War Elephant in the late game was 1280 HP, I think they're now like 1230. So a small nerf, but they kind of needed every nerf they can get how absurd they are. Nestabes, shots are good. B, no reaction to this at all. Finally, he shifts away. I'm not sure what was happening there. Doesn't even try to hide in the dock. So in the end, ends up losing all but one of the fishing boats here. Does have more on the south side. Can't really afford any losses at this stage, though. He needs to kind of maintain this control because we're reaching that critical point where Anatan is close to running out of food in this northern side. So if you want to have an edge here, you need to keep this fishing alive, right? So shifts all south. Wolves are going up. Anno, plenty of gold now in the corner, so he's not going to be gold-starved here. The bigger concern as this game goes on for Anatan is indeed going to be food. I do wonder if that's part of the reason why he didn't just go into mass crossbow and mass lancers, is going Juke is cheaper than going crossbows, right? It's 80 food versus 30 food. Still, with that in mind, we are now getting to the real comp. Crossbows, Palace Guard are on the way. So like it or lump it, he ends up there in the end. SPs are going to be pushed down the center, but the Tower Elephants have revealed themselves, and all of a sudden, Anatan's lineup looks a little bit out of balance here. It's a lot of crossbows, a lot of Juke, not many melee units. Spin count should struggle to dive in here. Archers in reserve to try and protect. And the Scholars, of course, can essentially be kind of a pseudo front line against the Spears. Oh, these games always feel so sad, man. Elephants are incredibly infuriating at the moment to deal with. Spear count practically just not existing. Lancers are brute forcing their way through here. The Nest of Bees, I mean, sure, it's siege damage, great, but this unit has 600 HP. It's not a quick kill. And also, remember, previous patch, they gave a buff to these elephants. Now they have slash damage. So if your units are clustered up, you're actually going to see a ripple effect. 30 damage on the primary and 15 on the secondaries. Smearled and Nest of Bees in the meantime are going to get targeted down. So that threat's now been removed. And B, all of a sudden, it looked shaky for a second, but the moment the elephant showed up, he showed his true face here. One of dominance in this map. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, guys. I just kind of ignored the Smearls in that engagement. I don't know what their role was meant to be. Smearls feel weird. I think Smearls only really work when your opponent kind of goes mass melee. I think Smearls are going to have a place maybe in stagnant mosh pits with mass melee in Imperial. The problem is they're just going to end up feeling like a worse version of a Revolt equipment. So yeah, may need to go back to the drawing board and swing on a bit. Guys, okay, maybe it sounds too clowny and out of place for AoE4, but what if Springles knocked units back as well? That could kind of work. And then if they're on the edge of the cliff, you knock them off like that. But I think that could kind of work. It's just, it might be a bit abnormal in terms of behavior for the AoE4 community. I can't think of any unit that knocks back like that. Maybe someone worries a bit too much Mowbray for an RTS, but I think that can make Springles really interesting strategically. You just have to be careful for it to not get memey, right? Because like if they knock back units, there's enough of them, you can never reach them. So I think it would have to be, it can only impact like infantry. So Horseman would still be the ideal counter, right? So remember, Springles, they get bonus damage against infantry. Their role, their target is meant to be inf. Understand, meanwhile, has gone for a second TC behind all this. So it looks like he's trying to play later into the game now. I mean, it's inevitable, right? After that fight he lost in the center, it's now B's decision as to what happens next. B is looking bloody scary. Because, you know, a year ago, you'd be like, ah, broken UI. Why has he got 2 Tower Elephants? Guys, he has 7 Tower Elephants. They're all real, okay? This isn't you reading a Disney story. This isn't the Dumbo tales, okay? These ones exist. They're angry. They've broken free from the zoo. And they're hungry. By the way, funny little fact about Indian elephants. You guys know this? Like, there's... Indian elephants like swimming a little bit too much. There is regular occurrences of where the Indian Coast Guard and other countries around that area have to go out to sea to corral elephants back to shore because they swim too far out. They just like having a paddle, man. But what we have learned here, right, is if India ever wanted to navally invade Southeast Asia, they have the perfect amphibious transports naturally sitting in their country. Maybe not knockback, but stun. I think a stun would be more annoying than a knockback, though. And also, a knockback is a type of stun if you think about it. But a knockback probably in some ways feels more annoying than a stun. Because I think sometimes people are frustrated, like, oh, my unit can't move, why? Alright. These elephants, they're done with their shower in the Southern Seas. I think they're about ready to start diving in that base. Anatan has gone for the bees, though. So, bees versus elephants. We are all about animal abuse in Age of Empires 4. I don't think they want that on the official marketing. Actually, then again, they did just recently tell people to stop playing AoE 2 and go play Age of Mobiles. So, who knows what they want exactly? Start marching in. Needs to bait him out of position here. Spears are going to begin chasing. Edges it out, so gets away from the nest of bees. So the bait was successful there. Anatan losing a lot of troops in the chase. There are some skulls nearby. We are now up to 12 of these tower elephants. The line formation especially is frustrating here, guys. Because it means the nest of bees are less effective, but gotta be careful with this. He's A-clicking onto them. Wait, Anatan? A big mistake made there. Anatan wasn't paying attention. Spearman now chasing, but once again, he just can't touch him. Second Sacred Site now locked in for B. Okay, so there's got to be Delhi players in the chat smiling right now because these are the type of strats they were dreaming of when Age of Empires 4 came out. They cried about for what felt like years because their elephants just couldn't do it. They're even sniping out the Nestabis. Clock Tower Nestabis at that. And now, well, it's not enough that this is a tanky range unit, guys. Oh, no, 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 no. What if it was just a ram as well? They do everything. In fact, I was just thinking recently from Age of Mythology, the rock giants can basically eat parts of the buildings to heal. What if we just got that for elephants as well, you know? Like, depending on the building, like they see, let's say they hit a mill, they just, or farm, they just reach down and pick up some of the crop and eat it. We'll make it an imp tech to make it balanced, you know? This surely has to get nerfed. I usually try to avoid nerfs, but I think, like, we were already there last patch. This has just confirmed it. Elephants are out of control. We've seen it in team games. We're seeing it in 1v1s. And it's so hard to gap close because of this as well. Like, that unique tech, 10% is not a lot of movement speed, but when you've got Spearman chasing you, it definitely feels like it. Anna should be adding Horsemen, Knights. Not Knights, no, but Horsemen maybe. The problem is he just doesn't have the resources because he didn't have the farm transition, right? So he was trying to prep Siege plus Spears to defend. The Nesta Bees just aren't doing enough. The nerve of losing the chemistry really has been hard felt. Makes sense, right? Like, it is a lot of damage lost. +2 doesn't sound like a lot until you remember it's 8 bursts, so that's 16 damage per round of attacks. Tough one here for Anno. He may have the eco lead, but B has done a phenomenal job of keeping up with the fishing. In fact, the fishing is what allowed him to do this, right? I don't think this game is the best example of just saying Delhi elephants are OP because the fishing allowed him to get this type of advantage, so like more happened than they just both boomed. But I do feel like we've seen plenty of games at the moment where elephants are looking a bit too good. Now, if you're wondering why is B playing with his food, he's not. Anatan has built Nesta Bees. The worst thing you can do is run into these choke points. Saturation damage would be high. On top of that, the spin would be able to more easily catch you. So he's actually correct in being methodical, being a little bit slower about this. Anatan just keeps taking the bait though, man. Mango is going to be thrown away. I'm not really sure why he wants a mango that badly, to be honest with you. These crossbows don't do much, guys. 14 damage against a unit with 9 armor. Barely touches it. Spearman now moving in. There's just so many archer shots coming from these elephants. Look at the bodies. Did he caught 1 elephant and lost about 10 spearmen there at least. Now, we're starting to get towards the verge of defeat here. Anatan, the military numbers are getting further and further apart. He's been gutted. 15 spears left alive. Nesta Bees count has not escalated. And now the elephants are giving themselves concussion. Yeah, I've heard that pets kept in confinement for too long can self-mutilate. Understandably, these elephants just want to go home. They like swimming in the Indian Seas a bit too much. They don't like the feeling of dirt beneath their hoofs. They want to get moist. And they can either get moist in a river or wet with Chinese blood. Anatan now being forced to dive out again. Spearman count barely double digits anymore. A keep drop now on the way from B, and I think this is it. This has to be the dive point. There's nothing to keep him back any longer. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's ever been an elephant meta that's felt like it was a good time in AoE 4. I don't think so. I think every time elephants have been meta, there has been a deep taste of sadness for anyone who's not a Delhi main. Yo, you guys remember when Order of the Dragon came out and everyone was panicking that like Gilded Knights were going to be unkillable and Men at Arms were going to be unkillable and all these things are going to be unkillable? This is that. This is what that could have been. So what I'm saying is we need a Gilded Delhi. There we go. Anatan making his last stand here. Landmarks will no longer protect him. Choke points are becoming limited. And the Scholar count on the front line is getting ridiculous. Nice target fire there with the Nesta Bees, but the Mangoes are going to win out faster at this rate. Flurry comes in. Elephants did temporarily pull back, so a bit weird from B. I think he's doing himself no service here with the way he's playing with these elephants, because his scholars are actually body blocking him. While he tries to drive in. There's no crossbows left, by the way. It's just spears now. Another key drop. Okay, I think B misplayed that attack there. His siege and his scholars actually got in the way. It would have been better to have killed this archery range and then moved around it, but even with that detail in mind, it doesn't seem to matter. Second keep now being dropped in the base of Anatan. Elephant count still healthy at 13. There are almost more elephants in this game than there are spearmen. And a keep drop now from Anatan. Good luck with that. I hear these guys are really good at headbutting buildings. I'm starting to think that both players are feeling a little bit insignificant compared to each other. Like, I can build a keep better than you. I can build a keep better than you. This entire screen is just going to end up being keeps in the next 2 minutes. I mean, it doesn't need to be, right? I think B is just going to run down the clock. He could have dove by now and probably ended this game, but it's just safer to stay on the edge and let the Sacred Site time bomb explode. We'll hit the speed up now. Because this one looks done, which means, folks, we are going to get a game number 5 between two of the most talented players you will find in Eastern Europe. Keep sieged down. Elephants. Are you enjoying them yet? Spearmen have to charge out. Mangoes could easily just wipe out the villages now, which is what they're doing. I refuse to say Mangoes won this game, folks. This game was won by elephants. Oh my god. I'm trying to think how you fix them now. Maybe an attack speed debuff for the mounted archers? I don't know if that's too it's weird, and like tower elephants are like, they're meant to be more glass cannony, but they obviously have to be tanky, but they're too damn tanky. GG gets called. The elephant meta has reared its ugly head again, and I am truly scared. We need to add a mouse unit to the game. That's the solution.